You.
What?
Here, we get started. Last year.
I said there's 3 out.
I'm just thinking, yeah, you get the sign.
I'll give them 2 more minutes. Okay. And if not, then.
Okay.
Good.
Good.
All right.
Marty will not be joining us tonight. No, he forgot.
Oh, well, maybe it wasn't on time.
First.
Welcome, everyone. Sorry I was late. Let's see, we will get started. Welcome to the Planning Commission meeting on Wednesday, not Thursday, August 19th. We will start with the Pledge of Allegiance led by Brad.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we will open for public comment. Just a reminder, we will have clock 3 minutes or less on your time. Please state your name, and the council will not respond to anything at this time. We do have a public hearing, so if it is anything in direct relation to the rezone, that you will have an opportunity for at that point to talk as well. So we'll now open it for public comment. And we will close the public comment. We'll move in action item number 3, the consent agenda from July 9th, 2026 minutes.
I don't have anything.
No? Can I get a motion?
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda on July 9th, 2026 minutes, as presented.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Yes.
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 And yes. All right, now we will open the public hearing for the Stark Doll rezone. Do we want to say?
Can I
few
just give a
things?
quick overview?
Yeah, let's do that, then we'll open it.
So this is a request to rezone 5.9 acres from agricultural to residential. Let's see if stake there, moderate. I get in there. Residential moderate, as their proposal is to put in a cul-de-sac with 12 homes on it. It's the northern portion of the Stark Doll properties. So it's taking the existing Stark parcel with an existing home and a portion of the Doll property that's further to the south to put this cul-de-sac in. The other big element is it would be completing the street there at 7600 to allow for it to connect through, which is this connection that the city's been waiting for a long time. Staff has reviewed it. It's compliant with the general plan. It's consistent with the general plan. The lots appear to work at least at a high level. We'll get into much more detail in the subdivision process if the rezone is approved. And staff recommends approval. I think that's it. Any questions for staff on that?
I didn't.
And now we'll open the public hearing. Can I get a motion open?
I'll make a motion to open public hearing.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Hearing is open. Same rules apply to the 3 minutes or less, so go ahead. And make sure to state your name and city as well, or address, whatever we do.
Neldon Higgs, South Weaver. So just to clarify, you've got it corrected then that it's not multifamily?
That is
I had
correct.
part of my speech for that. Okay. I'll edit that part out.
That was not it.
Sorry, what's that?
I just want to make sure the notice wasn't that way.
I can't remember if it was or not, but okay. So I'll skip that part, but since you've already got that corrected, but anyway, so I reviewed the city's adopted 2020 general plan, not the proposed. And I believe that there's an important transportation issue that needs to be addressed. The city has identified a connection between 1650 East and 7775 South on the general plan, on notes. I can get you guys copies of this too, but you can look it up because it is the adopted. That calls it for a future collector roadway. And at the same time, 7600 South is identified as a local residential future. On the general plan, so here on the adopted transportation plan, sorry, it's not super huge, but there you go. It does show that and highlight it up for what each road identifies. Anyway, those designations exist for a reason. So a local residential street is identified primarily to serve the neighborhood, and the collector is intended to move traffic through the community. Yet the proposed access for this development comes directly onto 7600 South. It does not connect this development to the planned 1650 and the 7775 South collector corridor. So furthermore, 7600 South isn't highlighted going east from 1750 on the general plan because the city and all of us residents know that it's not wide enough for more traffic. So I believe the city needs to answer a straightforward question. Why are we putting additional development traffic on a roadway identified as a local residential rather than preserving and utilizing the corridor the city has identified for the future collector traffic? This is especially important because the proposed connection will change the existing traffic pattern. It creates more direct route toward the elementary school and will attract additional neighborhood and school-related traffic onto 7600. The reason for the concern is this. I've also measured the existing roadway. The section of 7600 South between 1750 and 1900 East, so going east, is only 31 feet wide back a curb. Got some pictures I can show you guys too. So that photograph documents and measurement. And I've also photographed showing actual conditions on 7600 with cars and everything on there. Sorry, grab with that other note taken off. I had to read too. So here you can see cars trying to go between, multiple pictures to show that just with cars parked on the street. Does anybody has any traffic there or any parties or anything going on? So to show that, and in between, when cars are parked on either side, there's only 14 feet between two cars. Also along that same stretch of road, the sidewalk connectivity is incomplete for approximately 6 lots on the south side and roughly equivalent to 2 lots on the north side. So if we're going to be increasing traffic on a relatively narrow roadway with existing pedestrian gaps near children traveling to and from an elementary school, the general plan calls for connected streets, evaluating traffic and circulation before major development and coordinating transportation improvements with development timing. So I'm asking the Planning Commission and city staff to consider 3 questions. First, is 7600 South capable of safely serving traffic that this connection will generate and attract? Second, how will pedestrian safety and existing sidewalk gaps be addressed? And third, why would we place additional traffic on a roadway designated for local residential use when the city's own general plan identifies a separate corridor for future collector traffic, and that corridor is not even part of this development but owned by the same applicants of the zoning request change? So once again, I'm asking the city to make sure growth is connected to the community in the right place, at the right roadway, and consistent with the 2020 general plan that the city itself adopted from all of us citizens' input, and we all took the time to do it. Because once these homes are built and this connection is made, we don't get to undo that traffic pattern very easily. For reference, look at 6650 South and 475 East. That had to be changed to a dead end with how narrow its street is. So I respectfully ask the Planning Commission and city staff to answer those questions and take a hard look at the proposed 7600 South access and the existing roadway and pedestrian conditions and additional traffic it will attract against the planned 1650 East and 7775 South collector connection before allowing this to go forward. Growth should not simply add homes. It should add infrastructure that is appropriate for the traffic those homes and the connection serving them will create. Thanks.
Well, you can, I don't know whether my questions are quite as detailed as that, but I guess I have questions about the actual development when it gets, if it gets approved. I own a lot right next to the Stark property on the east side, the northeast side of that is where my lot's at. I have a power line that comes right across that property. It's on a power pole. I'm concerned about how the process is going to be and what the shouldn't be any cost to me to change that power that I've had that's been in service there for 70 years. So I want to make sure that's considered, and maybe that's what you said earlier, is to get into the detail of that. I expect to be contacted or at least informed of what's happening there. Also, secondary water line that goes across there and services that area. I hope that it's got the capacity to add these 12 homes to it. When it was first developed, there was a farm and 3 houses down there, down below. They added the subdivision to the west of the Stark property, plus the Windy up there in the field. That's been added. So the line that comes across the all of that subdivisions over there, I hope that's big enough to service all of that. Curious about where the holding pond is for that property. Where was the runoff plan to be going down? Is that going to cross our property as well? Or is it coming down to the west somehow? Just curious if there's going to be putting new fences in there for us, or the existing fence is going to stay where they're at. Also curious about any existing buildings that are there along that road. If the road goes in where it's at, what those existing buildings should be left standing where there shouldn't be any need for them to be taken down, I would say. And that's on our property. You've already said 7,600. I'm glad to hear that you might be considering making that a common road number across there. In the past, it's been 7,650 on that side of the fence and 7,600 on our side of the fence. And Amazon can't find us if we use 7650, which is what our house number is, but Rory's house number on the other side of the street is 7600. So there's been some confusing there. Let's get that cleaned up. Looks like there's a park strip that's designed to go up there on the east side of that road as it goes up toward that field. Who's gonna maintain that park strip? There's sidewalk and a park strip there. Who's gonna maintain that? You can maybe answer that right now. I don't know. Certainly, we are concerned about the additional traffic as well. I would just echo what they've said. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chet Thomas, South Weaver. I'm 7629 South. I'm on the corner right there. So, love development, pro development. We've been in that home since 2013. We were actually the second to the last home built right there. But I would echo what Neldon said on 7600. There's a bus stop at the top of 1900 where kids walk down 7600. That is definitely a safety issue first and foremost. In my mind, my kid actually rides the bus, and so they take that route as well. So I would just make sure that this development plan doesn't just benefit a developer that wants to put another lot at the top and not have a road cut through to benefit them, that the city's, putting a conscious effort on the safety of children and cars getting through there. Like he echoed, it is a nightmare when there's parties, cars on both sides of the road. It's nearly impossible to get through it to one lane road. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jeremy Cummings. I live at 1820 East, 7600 South. So I oppose, obviously, this entire plan because I would be actually, east of what you're showing right now, the short piece of what they're talking about of how many cars can actually fit through there. So that would affect, my property because it hasn't been opened up where it is, past Chet's house or anything else. So that roadway would be very, very slim. And as we mentioned, we get kids walking to the school bus, which is actually the end of 7600. So there's a pickup place for all the children. And obviously there's a park there. And there's not a stretch of sidewalk all the way through there, if you can look on the map. So oppose that the council deny this proposal for now, as there continues to be more studies of the roadway and obviously the through traffic that's going to create for 7600.
I'm Dan Jones. I'm on 1750 East, and my concern also is the 7600 access. I've been out here for 40 years. I know there's been studies on 7600 in the past where they've taken measurements, and the fire department has deemed they can't get a fire truck through. If you've got cars on both sides of the road, they will have to hit the car to get through. And so that's my main concern of this whole development. I'm fine if they build houses back there, but let's do it smart. And either we've got to take care of 7600 to accommodate the new traffic, or like Neldon said, the road behind that goes in front of the doll's house. Something has to be improved before we can add development there. Thank you.
Can we get a motion to close public hearing?
I'll motion to close public hearing for the Stark Doll rezone.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Yes.
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 And yes. Action item number 5, the Stark Doll rezone at approximately 1675 East, 7650 South. A change from agricultural to residential moderate. on approximately 5.9 acres. The applicant is Russ Wilson of Symphony Development. Can we hear from is the developer here?
Hello, thanks for your time tonight. My name is Russ Wilson. I work for Symphony Development, which is the land development company or part of Symphony Homes. I don't know if I have a lot to add, but I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have for me.
Questions?
I just didn't know if you wanted to say anything or have anything to respond with anything that anybody said or anything.
No, I guess one thing that I'll say is the 7600 South discussion. This is actually the first time I've heard that people are opposed to that. Ever since we have been working on this, all I've heard is that the city would really like to make that connection, have it go through. We are planning to build it to city spec and the matching the widths that are already there. We are contracted to buy the portion of the property that's shown in green on this from the Dahl and the Stark families, but we don't have any commitment to purchase any more land from them. They're planning to maintain their home and the remainder of their property on the south side. Other than that, I don't have much else to add.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was your opportunity when we had the hearing open to ask the question. So right now we're off. Thanks.
Since I've heard the question, I'll just answer real quick. The existing homes that are there are 2 existing homes and some outbuildings as well. Our plan is to demolish those and to build new homes on the lot shown.
Thank you. And then just a reminder, this is just the rezone from agriculture to residential. So nothing is final with anything else on it, right? Correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
I just had a point of clarification. I know with the acreage, the 5.9 that they have available, given the residential moderate zone, they are actually allowed 18 homes, correct? Or is it 16?
I think I got 16, but
16, but they're not asking for 16. They're only asking for the 12 that are kind of showing on that plat. So they're actually asking for less residences, so larger lots than what they could be asking for, correct?
that is what the concept plan shows.
Okay.
This is not with the rezone, then I guess the concept plan is there just as an illustration. It's their intent. I'm 90% sure that's what they do. But what is this request is to rezone to RM. So they could come back, redesign and get some more lots in there if they wanted. Technically, it would be zoned to RM. That's this action. We just asked for the concept plan to be an indicator, and anyway. So it's not 100% binding, I guess, would be my point.
That's what I want to make clear, is that they could come back and actually shrink the lots and go with the higher, allowable density if the residential.
If they can make it fit.
If they can make it fit.
How
I think
many
it'd be tough.
homes in residential low moderate could they do? If you did RL, meaning would it less than 12 or?
RL or RLM?
RLM, sorry.
RLM, okay. That's- So that density is 1.5 building lots per acre. I can barely do math. When people are looking at me, I really can.
We're all looking away right now.
I get 10. It's 10.9,
So
but
just-
it's very close.
With it, and I know general plan, the future land use for this whole area is residential moderate, so it's not like they're going outside of what the general plan indicated for any future rezoning.
That's correct.
I do think there is an opportunity, just because there was a lot of questions and comments tonight about the roads. When the development actually comes forward, that's where you'll get to see what the developer's actually doing, where the road specifications, there'll be a lot more detail provided. So definitely, if you're paying attention, pay attention to that. And if there's something that you see that impacts the safety and doesn't address the concerns you have, that's gonna be when you're gonna wanna come back up and make sure we're paying attention to. So we are, but
Would you like me to answer some of the questions that came up?
if you want
Oh,
to.
yeah.
Sure. So is 7600 capable and safe of handling the additional traffic? Initially, we didn't think it was an issue at all, but we could get in and do a little more traffic analysis. But at a glance, the city engineer didn't feel that that was an additional traffic study would be required. So yes, it should. The sidewalk gaps, will they be filled? How will that be addressed? That would be a future project that would just happen as, city funds were made available. It's very hard to tie those improvements to this project, but it would be something that could get elevated on the city's project list to fill that, to make sure that that happens.
When you say gaps, what are we talking about in terms of?
I think that the parcels, there's a gap at 7600, just to the east, at about 1780s. There's a gap there between Erica Way's homes, and there's a couple homes, and then I think it's actually HOA property. Yeah, it's the HOA for Erickson Meadows PUD down below. There's no sidewalk there. I believe that's what they're referring to. Yeah. And then, yeah, so those, and that's a function of, as the cities grow, and when those things went in, that was not an issue and wasn't required. And the cities generally try and come back in and fill those in as needed. So this might, if this development goes in, that would become a higher priority, I would imagine, for the city to fill in those gaps so that there is that safe walk. The roadway width, the paving is adequate. Again, we could double check with the fire department. No issues were raised though when we initially discussed this. So we'll have to do some double checking before we go too much further. It is really hard to come back and retrofit that, so we'd have to see about that. The power line modification would work with, that's a Rocky Mountain Power call where they want to pull their power from and all that. That's part of the development process to look in and analyze that, as well as the secondary water capacity. I don't know what they need to do. They're a separate district. They would look at their improvements, any improvements that they need as part of this specific subdivision they could do and require, but not overall infrastructure. That would not be the burden of this developer necessarily. The details of the holding pond location and buildings, that would be the development process, and the subdivision process, looking at those standards and what's required to meet the engineering and flow rates and all that kind of thing, the storm drain impacts. So those details we'll get into at the subdivision, should this be approved. As far as who maintains the sidewalk in the park strip, I believe this is a public road that's going to be put in. It's not going to be private. So that cul-de-sac, this would be proposed, the sidewalk and park strip are the city's responsibility. Now, sidewalks and park strips, per city code, it's public right of way, but the adjacent landowner is responsible for maintaining and keeping the sidewalk. But with the new sidewalk, it'd be okay. Very, very typical. Yeah, and then the road name, we do need to make sure we address that and make sure that that happens appropriately. That's a good thought. I think that's what I got. So there's more details to come, but there's some issues there we definitely will look into more. But a lot of them are handled at subdivision, where we get into those details if this is approved.
I just have kind of a point of clarification question. Just if the 12 lots that's being presented, can we make that a condition of the rezone? to lock in that number and not have it potentially go higher.
You could make it a condition of approval.
Since for the rezone.
For rezoning it.
Oh, she was doing math and doing something, so I was waiting to see if that was gonna come through.
And I guess there's nothing on this rezone that impacts the potential future connection of that 1650 east over to,
Yeah, that's the big one.
sorry, my map cut off, so I don't even know what the road that could potentially be.
It would be 7775.
All these dead ends in the city. Sorry.
In our discussions, we did say that the plat amendment would, because this is being split off, but we would ask that when that property is developed, there's a specific plat note that would say it is that road extension would go through when.
The future connections would
Yeah.
still be, okay.
Yeah.
Can you identify the road?
The road is 7775 south. Just south of off this map, 1650 east.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can,
I'm just looking at the county parcel map, 7775.
it's not the time for this that part of we're good.
Sorry, Jeff.
No, you're fine. Yes, yeah, 100% is. Just a reminder, so all your concerns have been noted. None of the decisions that are being made today are saying no to those. This is just simply rezoning it for the opportunity to build this, and then we will still discuss everything else. But I think that if you're ready to make a motion with your condition, then we'll do that.
I'm gonna move to recommend to city council to start Dahl rezone at approximately 1675 east, 7650 south. A change from agricultural to residential moderate. Sorry, fixing. At approximately 5.6 acres, applicant Russ Wilson with Symphony Development, with the condition that the rezone recommendation is contingent on 12 lots only. Or less. I'm fine if you go lower.
And can I get a second? Oh, yeah. Yeah. You're not me. Do you want to make one? Or you making, was that your?
How was my motion?
Yeah.
You didn't hear me?
I did. I
Okay.
heard it. And then, did we get a
We need a second.
second?
I'll second.
And then we'll do a roll call.
Yes.
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 And yes.
When do we think that we'll get the actual plat? Or blanking on the name of it. The next step, when they actually bring the development proposal forward. that
Well,
will
the
have more
preliminary
details.
plat application would be the next step. I don't know what the
Next step.
developer's
Okay.
timeline is.
Okay.
I imagine they would like to go as fast as possible usually.
Okay.
I would think so.
Just keep paying attention to public notices, because there will be another,
That'll be a public meeting where
Meeting.
we will look over the criteria for the subdivision. And just why we have an opportunity to make sure everybody understands, it's a meeting, so there's not an opportunity to speak towards specifically. But there is the opportunity when that meeting comes up, get your comments to staff and plan commissioner, whoever, ahead of time.
Yeah.
And then we can hopefully address them better. So
absolutely.
that
And
would,
you
that
have
would
the
be the best way to
general
handle it.
public period that you can comment on during that meeting.
Yes, you could, yes.
I just wanted to say thanks too for the comments, because now we can research them.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Good.
Hey, final plan amendment discussion.
I didn't want to do this part.
Yeah.
As you guys' discussion, I tried to put together, or, a summary of our last conversation and the priorities of the general plan discussion and the amendments we wanted to go forward. So we have that short list of the 7 items in order. And I kind of just basically, I broke it down into number 1 is just general plan map amendments. There's 5 of them there. Those are things that staff, at least my recollection of the conversation was staff was going to work on those and then bring them back when we do a general plan amendment, one of the other amendments, so that we can have all those addressed at that time. We would bring drafts to you guys to make sure we're on board and have the draft or have your issues identified and the changes you want. And then that would go actually, so we let me slow down. Well, staff will draft it. Planning Commission would give comments in a meeting to say what they did or didn't want and make sure that it's what you want and would like to recommend. Then we would begin an application officially to amend the general plan. And then that would have a public hearing with the Planning Commission with a recommendation to City Council to approve it. And my thinking has been, and the process we kind of discussed, is that we bring forward 2 or 3 amendments so we could discuss them all at once, but there'd be multiple amendments. The maps would all be one per request, and then maybe it's annexation and I don't know, whatever other changes we end up going for. So that would be the process, and that's item number 1. Staff's working on those changes to address all that stuff. That's the sensitive lands, the land use and the RP clouds and that type of thing. Then I put together a little background information on the annexation with the South Bench area. Kind of, you requested for pros, cons. There's a table in there discussing that. I can read through it if you want, or just answer questions, however you guys want to handle it. And then the other item I put together was the Central Park future downtown. And what I did here was just kind of looked at other cities and other jurisdictions and criteria that they had out there. Because it is such a high level thing and such a, it's down the road. I don't anticipate lots of land use changes, but we all want to have a plan ready. So what I put in there, everything's in there that I could think of to put in there that, maybe we want to address this. We can certainly delete. Maybe there's stuff I've missed. I tried to throw in everything, and then it's easier to pare it down. But looking at design criteria, land uses, those types of things. And it's the verbiage, especially in a general plan, is we should do these things. We want to look for these things. And as I was reviewing it today, it almost reads like an RFP, a request for proposals of, we want somebody to do a small area plan or a central downtown plan that addresses all these elements. And that might be how it goes forward. But the first step would be to say, this is our vision for that downtown area. And so that's that document. Like I said, just trying to throw everything I could think of in there.
I had a question, and I don't know if it was the annexation, I think is what this was. Just the 3 pages that were inserted into the packet. Was that meant to just kind of be an example of how discussion has taken place when a landowner has approached South Weaver City wanting to discuss annexation? Was that why those 3 pages?
The minutes from the city council meeting? Yeah, it was one, just an example of somebody that had come in and actually made the request. I also kept it in there because it was talking about the specific area and a concept that somebody had brought forward.
Okay.
And we got some feedback. That's why I included the minutes from the council discussion regarding those different elements and what was important. It boils down to just a couple of pages, but
I just wanted the context as to why that was in there, because I didn't see anything that really explained it. And it was, at first I was like, was this supposed to be in there? City council minutes, not ours. So thank you for that.
Well, yeah. And so, page 20 of 38 is just kind of, here's what I heard we want to talk about. There's the elements we should address and kind of the pro cons of whether we should or should not annex it, that specific area. Then then pages 21 and 22, 23 are the current general plan language. And we'd have to find something to merge it together. And then 24 is the map, and the council discussion is 25, 26. Anyway, so that was just kind of background information and kind of what was been proposed in the past and discussed. They went away, but I think they're out there kind of still working on a plan for potential annexation and what they want to do.
And a lot of the comments in there is kind of stuff we've talked about having control over future access. And so no, I like that.
Sorry, I should label better background information.
Yes. Well, do we just go down the list?
Hey, do we if we don't need to,
I don't think we need to change on that.
Okay, I know.
I mean, I think some of it just comes down to,
Are we doing anything with it?
yeah.
With each item.
That's still 7 topics.
I mean, if we would, I think discussing the city square, whatever we're calling it, thing is
Central Park future.
Central
dental.
Park. I feel like that's an easy for.
Chad, will you speak into the mic?
Oh, the Central Park area. Does that sound like a easy place to start talking about? Any concerns or questions on, I mean, like you said, it's gonna be future enough because that's a lot of money that
And big
doesn't
changes.
really exist yet. It's just
But
for
I think-
planning for the idea of
But
it.
that's the idea is,
Yeah.
what do we want that to look like? What are the important critical elements? And I think that's such a long list that we could say, yeah, these are important things and we want to address them or not.
So how does that work in the realm of if the large parcel to the west goes for sale? I mean, then we say, okay, we want this part of the downtown district, but we don't have the whole land. Like, can you buy it in parcels? Can you how would that work in the future?
Well, by having it in the general plan, we've laid out the vision and what
Okay.
we want to see. As we, I mean, this is very high level, so
Yes.
just that question alone, maybe we create another zone that has more teeth.
Okay.
That we would say, yeah, this parcel is, if somebody else bought it and they said, we want to develop it, and they came in with single family homes, we would have the zone criteria and the language in the general plan and maybe a zoning district that would implement, this is the city's vision for this property. We only get one chance at it. And so even though it's just one part of it, how can we make it move toward that vision?
Okay.
And then, and that's the Utah development process, is they come in parcel by parcel, and like, we kind of just have to line up the parts and get what we can with each one as they come in.
So we could make a zone that's Central Park zoning, and then we could define what that zone means and what can be on it. So whether or not we own the properties or not, we could have them zoned in a fashion that we want. So if somebody comes and presents something, it's like,
That would,
Yeah,
to have it zoned, the city would have to initiate and kind of do that without the landowner's permission potentially.
Would
If-
that future land use map be updated to show that the future land use for this parcel is to be a Central Park zone and not have the other options? Because like, we don't want to sell it and then lose that opportunity. That would be a change to a
Yeah.
future land use map.
So yeah, so we would, just like tonight's discussion, we would have on this map, when somebody came in, or the preliminary discussions, we would, if they came in with that property to the east, south of the church, south of the church, we would just say, yeah, this is the vision the city has for that. This is what we want to see. And this is the zoning district we've developed to implement it. But that process is with a general plan amendment that has, maybe some to-do items in it. Then we actually had create the zone district. Going to this final step of actually rezoning a property is kind of a big deal in Utah. We wouldn't do that without the landowner's permission generally. But, we'd have it sitting there ready and saying, this is the criteria we want to see in this property when it gets, if any redevelopment recurs. Does that make sense? I feel like I'm just.
Any thoughts?
No, all those items on the list. Yeah, look good.
I mean, I feel like we've broken down each of the topics enough. Like, I don't feel like there's anything that needs to be added. It's just probably more of a, how are we gonna attack these? Cause I know we've kind of skipped over number 3, the transportation connections. I do think that one might turn into a bigger, you know, the connection issues. Cause again, we're kind of dependent upon, you know, those dead end roads and the property that's in between where we would like to see those connections take place. Until those properties actually come up for development, we can't really say, hey, put this connection here, but do we have a plan? Do we have those connections written down somewhere on our future transportation map or wherever is the best location, just to make sure they're being identified? You know?
Well, and then annexation is part of that.
Yeah.
We want to control that between us and Layton, you know.
And I would, like currently, what our annexation plan and the annexation chapter is, yes, we want to annex it and it's open space. Well, that's
Not for
a
development.
big ask.
Development.
Might be challenging to just get them to do open space and annex.
Yeah.
So anyway, it'd be challenging. Yeah, and there's a little overlay with Layton. Yeah.
And then part of it was we discussed that what was that company up there? Was it,
Thought.
yeah, that was annexing that
Everton.
into us, right? Yeah. Is that would look at incorporating that,
Yes.
right?
I don't have anything really to add or change to this list, but
I don't either.
so I mean, that's the direction I think we want to go forward with this.
I don't, is
Is
that
there any crossover between items number 3 and items number 7?
interpretation? So what was that?
Just
Right,
because
Jen.
it says for the transportation connectivity
Oh, yeah.
element, is that something that can maybe be absorbed into one single topic? Or is there something that keeps it separate?
I think those could be combined into discussing the transportation element itself.
Just to maybe give us one last thing. I mean, still covering what
I like
needs to be
that.
discussed. but
Our
let's
current
refer to-
general plan is very high level. So we might add more depth to it.
So I guess that's my line. Let's merge number 3 and number 7 together. Just for cohesive.
Yeah.
And then going forward, it's just picking one or two and that's what we'll start working
So,
on.
yeah, I mean, number one, as I've stated, staff's gonna start working on. It seems like, and this is building a city. The annexation and the transportation go hand in hand. You can't discuss one without the other, really. You try and
Mhm.
separate them as much as you can, but there's gonna be overlap on those issues. Because that road connection up there would be a big part of the annexation, I would think. Yeah, and the infrastructure.
Yeah.
As far as order, is this the order that you want to tackle them in?
If we're tackling them in pairs, I think it makes sense. So
Yeah,
that keeps annexation with the transportation, the first 2.
Okay.
and 3, transportation connections.
Yeah.
They'll kind of flow together. Yeah, I think that's good order.
I mean, I personally don't feel like the, this is just my 2 cents. Hold on. The conversation about the pits. It's so far off into the future, we're not gonna spend a lot of time getting detailed into it. It might just be like potential zoning.
And that's all I wanted that one on there for was because I think that one's an easy one to just have done. And whoever brought up, I mean, last time, if it's zoned as such, and if somebody does see a benefit and wants to make them an offer and solves everybody's problem, then so be it.
Yep.
I just think we help it look better to potential buyers if it's zoned already appropriately and they don't need to worry about it. So I think that one's an easy one to just check off the list and make our choice on that. Because you're right. I mean, it's unlikely anything will come of it, but we can at least.
And I guess that maybe ties
Maybe look
into
at
the
better.
number 5 topic of the 2800. Is that 2800 East?
Yes.
Can we just add that to the?
Yeah.
And Cornea, just because that I think kind of ties into if we're continued light industrial and commercial uses along that kind of corridor, it ties into where the gravel pits are, so. I think they all flow.
So what I'm hearing you say is draft up similar to our current language and our current general plan, just kind of, and I can't remember what we say about the gravel pits now, but I imagine we say something. But we have it at least as commercial on the future land use map, particularly the land use map. So just write up a little bit more about, we see this as developing down the future. We want to see these types of uses, just kind of a high level thing is what.
Then we looked at it basically,
Yeah.
yeah, because that is a topic of citizens.
I think people are more currently concerned about the dust still blowing out of it and disturbing use of property.
And then I think I think I don't need to bring that up right now. I'm just trying to stay focused and not get off on a tangent. I caught myself there. Because once I start, I mean,
Keep going.
just ask everybody at work. I can just keep going. Okay, yeah, I'm good. I don't have
I'm good.
anything else.
Anything else?
I think it was just good. Yeah, thanks for providing some more clarity and understanding on that and the process.
Okay.
It just seems bigger now, but thank you.
These are big issues.
I know.
They're hard.
What's the time frame for inviting public comment on any of these topics? Because I feel like some of them, once the maps are updated, I mean, there's not really going to be much commentary except for seeing, you know, the changes that have happened across the various maps.
I think to get annexation and transportation into a draft that I'd like to have you guys discuss. I doubt that's September, but you know, maybe that's October.
So when you have a draft and you're bringing it back to us, that's the same time it's going to be open
My
to the public to come in?
Well, no, my thought is that I let me know, but my thought that a way that would work well is I come back to you with an actual, here's my recommended, and I'll work with other staff to get this stuff together as well. But here's a recommendation of an amendment to the general plan regarding transportation and annexation. And maybe they're two sections, but they're so overlapping that the discussion will be overlapping. So let's tackle them both at once, which I think it's what you guys said. And go through that with you guys of here's the draft language. You guys say, yep, that's what we want. This is what we want tweaked. That's how we want to see it changed. Then we say, okay, now we're going to do propose this as an actual application or an amendment to the general plan. Then we'd come back with any refinements and come to a public hearing with the planning commission.
Okay.
That's when the public would come. Yeah.
So each topic is like 2 meetings.
Yeah, and my pause is maybe we want to do something before that, rather than go from draft to public hearing. There's an open house there in the middle because this is a huge issue, and allow people to look at it in depth, discuss with planning commission, discuss with council, discuss with staff. Here's my issues. You know, if we do this, is going to, you know, anyway, get the public a more open opportunity and then present a draft. So your draft, Plan commission work
Input.
session comments, community work session, and then public hearing adoption.
So we could do, so if we start, I mean, granted, you have time to get it done, if not September, let's say,
Well-
let's say it's September, October, whatever, it doesn't matter what month, but so let's say it's September, then in October, you're going to bring back recommendations or any corrections or anything like that. We're going to
A more firm draft.
more
language.
firm draft. So we could also tie that one into, do we think there's gonna be enough time to, we could tie now the initial conversation? You could have your initial draft ready for the next topic, so we could kind of overlap two for that second month, rather than just saying we're only gonna do, or is that not enough time for staff to prepare things in between?
To get a lot of staff, I think the planning aspects could be there. Getting other staff to weigh in and,
Okay.
and all that might be a little tricky in that short of time.
So then maybe
We
by,
can try.
maybe-
We'll shoot for it.
Yeah.
And if we, and if
Well,
we,
even not,
if
then
we're not
even-
there, we're not there.
then by the time we do the hearing, at least that meeting, we could then maybe look at also having, so that, like, we're at least starting the
You're
next
talking
one.
about
bef-
stair step it, right?
Yeah, just so we're not like completely like waiting on the other items while we're
Yeah.
like, try to overlap a little bit, but I get that you need the
Amendment
time.
number one draft is also going to be the same meeting as concept number two.
Yeah, there you go. That's what I'm getting at.
Concept
If you have the
number-
time.
Yeah.
But that's what we'll plan. We
Let's
can shoot
it.
for that.
Let's shoot
And
for
if
it.
you get it ready, you get it ready. I mean, I don't want you to like rush or we get something that's not
Well, let's
ready
make
yet
sure it's
either.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I don't want to
okay.
come in without, okay, engineering hasn't had a chance to even look at this.
right. Yeah.
If we're talking about
Then there's no point in
transportation,
doing it. Yeah.
we kind of need them
Okay.
to weigh in.
Okay.
So, but we'll work to, we'll go for it and see how close we get.
And then if by some reason, one of the meetings ends up turning into 4 hours and we had that second one on there, I mean, like, technically we can just push that and do it to the next month. We don't need to do it if it's just on the
Yeah.
agenda to do it.
There's not a deadline
Okay.
per se.
Yeah.
I mean,
then-
we do want to move forward and
Right.
get stuff done, but
It's
Yeah.
not like this has to be done in 2025.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, if-
December 25th, like there's not a hard line.
well, the
But also not
transportation
trying to-
connectivity element is
2026.
June
Oh,
27th.
Thank you.
Okay.
So, I mean, but that's still
Okay.
9 months away, so
Yeah.
we should be able to do that.
And actually,
Okay.
not 2026, not 2025.
Okay.
Brad corrected me.
That all sounds good to me.
Okay.
Anything from that's not related to what we've already talked about?
No. Did we get enough people to go to the fall planning
Oh, yeah.
Well-
conference to get the,
You and Marty are the only two I've heard
that
back from.
actually responded to the email?
Yeah, if it makes you feel better, I saw it and I thought about it. So I was,
I
that's-
count that as.
that's half the battle.
Been a lot of parts of
that's,
my life.
that's what I'm saying.
It's the-
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, that's actually a terrible day for me. I
I
actually,
think it's the 10th and 11th, 10th and 11th.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, 10.
oh, 10th and 11th.
Yeah, so now you can
Oh.
make it, right?
Yeah.
Marty is all in. He wants to go. But if we can get 2 more commissioners, we actually get a little break in the cost. So trying to save the city some
But then
money.
you have 2 more
We'll sign up 3 and maybe send staff or somebody, I don't know. Maybe a city council member wants to go.
I mean, I can for sure do the 11th.
Well,
So I would say,
so let's sign up 3 and maybe one of you can come on the 10th, one of.
yeah, I would say do that.
The 11th, I think, is only a half day.
Oh, okay.
Those Friday afternoons, no one shows up. So they finally accepted that.
I'll stick it. And we do have a planning commission meeting that
On the
Thursday night.
10th.
Oh, yeah,
So,
there's it.
And it's in Layton. Okay.
That's the convention center, so
Yeah, so
it's actually a shorter commute for some of you.
it's true. Yeah, I can do that.
I'm on town on Thursday.
Sign up 3. It's a pretty good deal, $100.
So pay for it. It's not
we'll-
in your pocket.
Well, and, if you can come to a part of it
That's-
or a part of half a day,
Yeah.
kind of get, I looked at the agenda, there's some good stuff. It's always good to expose
Yeah, I think
yourself
it's
to new
beneficial.
ideas and that type of thing in the planning realm. And more importantly, it checks a big box for the training. So,
Oh, yeah, it's true.
I mean, we've technically met that, but sure be nice to go above.
Never hurts.
Yeah.
Okay.
All we have.
And a motion, you want to make a motion to adjourn? No?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in
Yes.
favor?
Yes.
Yes.
And a yes.
It's a wrap.